President and CEO of the Greater Kitchener-Waterloo Chamber of Commerce. Before we begin and get started with our event today, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge that we do live and work in the traditional territory of the Neutral, Anishinaabe, and Haudenosaunee peoples, as we seek a renewed relationship based on a foundation of mutual understanding and respect. As a settler, I continue to practice self-reflection and do appreciate the use of this borrowed land through activities that I enjoy, like golfing and skiing. As participants in today's event, we are coming together as one. We believe everyone is free to be their true self and receive the same respect and opportunity, regardless of age, ethnicity, gender, culture, identity, sexual orientation, beliefs, or language. We hope you'll join us in fostering a positive environment here today to ensure a safe and welcoming space for all. I would like to take a moment to thank our sponsors of today's event. Without their support for this event and for all chamber events, it wouldn't be possible. So thank you to our friends at Conestoga College, Gowling WLG, the Grand River Hospital Foundation, the Grand Valley Construction Association, North Guide, the City of Kitchener, the City of Waterloo, and the Region of Waterloo. Please join me in thanking these incredible sponsors. I'd also like to take a moment to recognize some individuals who have joined us today. Regional Chair Karen Redmond joins us. Woolwich Township Mayor Sandy Schatz. I think we have North Dumfries Mayor and Regional Councillor Sue Foxton. There's Sue. Regional Councillor Chantal Kuniak from Waterloo. Regional Councillor Pam Wolf. I see Pam. Thank you, Pam. City of Waterloo Councillor Diane Freeman joins us. I think City of Kitchener Councillor Christine Michaud is coming. She should be joining us in just a few minutes. The Deputy Fire Chief from Kitchener Fire, Chris Davidson, and Bob Gilmore. Bob's here to join us. Thank you for joining us. And from our Board of Directors, from PwC, Scott Gilfillan. Thank you, Scott. Roberto Villamar is joining us as well. And our past chair just joined us, Kelly McManus from the University of Waterloo. Also joined by partners of ours, the Grand River Hospital Foundation CEO, Paul McIntyre-Royston. Thank you for joining us. Grand Valley Construction Association CEO, Jeff McIntyre. Food Bank of Waterloo Region CEO, Kim Wilhelm. Where's Kim? She's right there. She's back. Uptown BIA Executive Director, JS, I'm going to get this wrong and I apologize, you can educate me on it next time, Baza Cathan. Got that wrong, but we have a meeting this week. I will be educated on that. Good. And Canadian Olympian Mandy Bujo joins us as well. So thank you to all of you for coming and joining us and being here for this discussion today. Today's discussion is an important one for our community. We all have the same goal, building a stronger Waterloo region. The Waterloo Region Police Service is committed to making a difference in the many diverse and vibrant neighborhoods across the region. The police service has a community-oriented philosophy to policing, which requires cooperation and collaboration from the public, including local businesses. They are the 7th largest police service in Ontario, and today we are pleased to be joined by Chief of Police Mark Crowell to discuss a variety of issues, including advocacy and allyship, reconciliation, community building, cybersecurity, and talent recruitment, and more. So without further ado, Chief Mark Crowell has been a member of the Waterloo Region Police Service since 2001 when he joined at the ripe old age of 8 years old. And he is the service's 7th Chief of Police. Mark is a member of the Canadian Association of Chiefs of Police, Victims of Crime Committee, and the CACP Ethics Committee. He holds a Master's of Arts degree and a PhD in Sociology from the Department of Sociology and Legal Studies at the University of Waterloo. Mark has been a board member for supportive housing in Waterloo and Habitat for Humanity Waterloo Region, and has served as a community volunteer with Out of the Cold and Food for Kids Waterloo Region. The Chief today is joined by a variety of his amazing team. I see some of them over here, so welcome to them. Please do join me in welcoming Chief Mark Crowell to the stage. Thank you for joining us today, Chief. I know how busy your schedule is. All you have to do is follow your social media posts and know that you could be any number of places right across the region or across the province or across the country. So we appreciate you taking time to be with us today.
It's an honor. Thanks very much, Ian.
The theme of this, last week we had the CEOs of the 3 hospitals, and the theme is leadership in our community and the things that drive our community. As we face a slowing economy, and it's incredibly important to have strong leaders. And the region and the police service are very fortunate and blessed to have you as the leader at this time in the service's history, but also in our community. So we have a lot to cover. Maybe for those that don't know, and you have been a member of the police service for a long time. It's been just over a year since we officially assumed the position as Chief of Police. Maybe start just any reflections on that of your first year. What are your initial observations of the first year on the job?
Well, thanks for the opportunity. I just want to thank everyone for coming here on a busy Monday when you could be doing so many different things. I never consider myself breakfast, lunch, or dinner worthy, but here you are for this chat. So it's been a heck of a year. It's been for all of us coming out of the pandemic, getting back to our normal rhythms. And so for me, celebrating a year, looking back, proud of a couple things. I never expected to be in this role. At this point in my career, doors and windows open up in life, and happy and thrilled and honored to be in this role. But the thing that I didn't expect to come with it was the opportunity to build a team. And so it's been a year of onboarding 2 new deputy chiefs of police. Thereafter, there was a series of promotions, and then really assembling the team. So most people might not appreciate the complexity, the sophistication that goes into modern policing, especially in a community of our size. So there's not only the 800 plus officers that you might see and meet, but there's about 400 civilian professionals that serve as well. So the team that surrounds me is dynamic. Some of them are here today: corporate affairs, government relations, labor relations, EDI, strategic services. So that's been the biggest part. The most important thing has been getting out to meet the community, to meet leaders. There's been so much change within the region in the past year, so it's making myself and ourselves available as much as possible to build those bridges, and also just reacquainting myself with even our own members. I think anyone in this room can appreciate, a lot of us work for big organizations. Getting out and meeting our own people, making sure that we have a pulse of our organizations is probably been the biggest task. And then the boring part of the answer is making plans. So we're right in the middle of about to launch our strategic plan, which will give us a roadmap for the next 3 to 4 years. And then throughout that, there's a series of important plans that are related to everything. I mentioned equity, diversity, inclusion, a reconciliation plan, our other strategic plans related to crime reduction, crime suppression, and then there's the region's community safety well-being plan, which I plan to get into as well. So it's been a busy one.
Now, one of the things that we see the growth of the community, and I think it's become, as we see the economy slowing and we see the pressures of the explosive growth within the region. We have, we're 650,000 people, we're on our way to 1 million. We were talking with Kim Wilhelm just before. The pressures on the community as a whole, as we grow, are going to be big city issues that we face. I want to talk a little bit, not specifically, the importance of the growth of the community means that we need the appropriate size police, but also very specifically, what are the things that we need where we're short? So cybersecurity is one that's important to business. Intimate partner violence. We know we have, violent crime that's an issue. So the investment of new police officers and talk a little bit about the growth of the community and the importance of making sure that we have the right people in the right places to serve the community.
Yeah, the growth issue is ever present with us. We're hyper focused on being appropriately resourced. So there's always the challenge of the right mix of sworn officers, civilians. So for us, It's doing everything all at once. It's building those plans that I mentioned, and then it's trying to find the right mix of how we deploy for our top priorities. So I often akin it to doing an oil change and changing tires on the car while it's going down the highway. It's trying to find the right way of responding to the needs of today, and also building for the growth that is with us right now and also for tomorrow. So there's no doubt that human capital, for us, 90% of our operating budget is people. And so that's finding the people, ensuring that they're developed and adequately resourced and supported. But there's also the innovation piece as well. And that means not only technology, just creative solutions to embracing technology, finding new tools, new innovative ways of responding. So that's online reporting, that's using automation whenever we can for some of our community responses. But it's also thinking about how can we change the nature of the work that we're doing. And so that means incorporating civilian professional capacity in everything we do, with an emerging world that is obviously becoming digitized. So much of our work now is cyber focused, cyber related, whether that's the evidence we're dealing with, the type of crime, and almost everything we have to deal with now has that element of technology that requires investments in how we disclose it, analyze it, and it becomes incorporated in the work that we do. So that mix of innovating, thinking creatively, best practices and approaches globally is the challenge, is the opportunity. And we just cannot rest on our laurels. Anything that we have done in decades past is under constant evaluation. And so, although humans will be at the center of everything we do, finding those caring, compassionate, incredible people that sign up for tough public service, it's also finding the mix of, how do we creatively solve problems in new ways? And that means the partnering and the approaches that we need are always in flux.
And so you touched on the innovation part of some of the evolution of crime and what you're doing, and you also talked about the sworn versus civilian, because it's having the right people to do the right job. So, you need some tech expertise when you're dealing with cyber. When you started, you would have had some objectives that, personally and for the service, but also some priorities for your, the service within the community. Maybe talk about some of those. And you touched on some of these. What are the ones that you're like, hey, we did great work on these ones in that first year, because you can't do it all in 1 year. Where are the areas where you say, boy, we got more to do, and that's where we're going to put our focus in this year moving forward?
So certainly, like I mentioned, it's been a year of creating the plans, and a lot of our work is still boots on the ground related to personal victimization. There's an undercurrent of violence that hits the headlines and victimization that people see. And then, as I've mentioned, there's a lot that happens online. And so whether that's anything in the realm of fraudulent activity, cybersecurity, cybercrime related, that is an ever-growing area that we'll need to continue to invest. And then there's a whole level of exploitation, and that could be seniors along that are constantly being exploited in terms of the fraudulent activity. It could be young people that are susceptible to the way we communicate now, the way that they are drawn into those interactions that are recurringly, finding new ways to bring people into difficult circumstances. So that evolution of our work to the digital sphere is happening. But I would say that the thing I'm most proud of is how we continue to find new ways to build our human capacities locally. Think about the economy that we're in. Think about the environment that we've seen play out, the level of mental health needs in our community, the addiction, housing, homelessness, all those compounding factors in a growing region. And so we, every day, are at the center of those difficult calls for service, 24 hours a day, and we've had some areas of focus where we're drawn into problems that are not of our making, where we can respond with compassion. And when I mention partnerships, it's not just a nice thing to say, it's the center and the key to everything we can do. Our people are connectors. That is our power, is we can show up, we can do an assessment, we can triage the problem at the source, but we need to be connected to every other human-centered service in our region. So we've been drawn into that a lot. Even just one example is our focus on intimate partner violence. You know, we've seen communities, and very proudly in this region, where we've made that a center of focus, intimate partner and gender-based violence. And every year our members respond to at least 6,000 calls for service. We have a specialized capacity that is the envy of the country in our family violence project and the work that we do. But finding new ways to break those cycles of violence will never change. And as this region continues to grow, but more importantly as it continues to diversify, finding new ways to reach new Canadians that have come here for a life of prosperity, but may carry with them issues related to reporting, what's happening behind closed doors, will never end. And that's where the partnership piece comes in, the collaboration piece. And there's just endless work to do to build trust and to build avenues of support, not just through the police, but for everyone who we intersect with.
So as a business community, we're planning for that growth in our own way, saying the opportunities that are here for the business community to be an engine of economic growth for Ontario, and in fact the country, are right before us. But we need people, and we need to have a safe community. I mean, that is sort of the currency of where you want to invest. It's a place that you have people, the human capital, that you've got the geographic opportunities, and you've got the ability to grow your economy here, but that also includes when we're having that significant growth, and we know that we're going to have most of the people that will be here coming from immigration. That's our source of talent, but it also means they're coming from places that don't look like Waterloo region, they're coming from around the world. So when we think about allyship, about the changing face of the community, you talk about the regional Waterloo well-being plan. I mean, there's a lot more than just pure policing. What are the things, how are you preparing the service for this significant increase of people that are brand new to the country, that come from different cultures, so that the service reflects the community, and that those bridges are built as we get to more, you've just described some of the complexity of crime, the complexity of the human issues that people face, of which police, until there's a new system, if someone calls 911, by and large, the police have to figure out how to respond to that. But talk about those other pieces that, like allyship and the recruiting is focused on what are the new communities that are going to be here, and how do we have people in the service that reflect that?
So very proudly, our service has always been, I would say, community focused in wanting to serve well and with the community. Our success has always been by making those relationship connections. So that's the center of everything that we do, building that trust. Embedded in our legislation it was a requirement for us to represent the community we serve, and that means in every facet. Diversity focused initiatives for us are not just strategic, they are essential to our ability to do the work that we do. If people can't see themselves reflected in our ranks, we will not succeed. If people can't have immediate trust when they recognize, when they call for help through the work that we do, we will not succeed. And so that mission to ensure that we are fully inclusive, that we have support in every corner of this region is the work every day. So being out there visible, being out there trying to build a multifaceted long-term recruitment strategy where people can not only have faith in an ability to see a career in policing and public safety is important, but it's also that parallel track of just building trust, to support people when they need it. So we've had great success. I know that some of this gets reported through the media about hiring issues. What I think the power of this network with the chamber, with just talking to industry leaders, is you learn that the talent acquisition pressures are everywhere. There's not a business leader, there's not anyone who I've met who's running any organization right now who is not striving for that essential balance. And we've onboarded almost 150 brand new police officers over the past year, It's just that balance of the attrition gap of those who are leaving the organization through normal retirement and resignation. And I would say that our funnel of quality applicants, people who are well-equipped, well-suited, and really have the wherewithal to do the work that we do, the funnel has been narrowing over the past number of years. So it's anywhere between 25 to 30 applications that we receive that turns into a viable application at the end of the day. We need people who are resilient, caring, compassionate, and have a variety of skills and opportunities, but also can withstand some of the elements and the challenges that we face. And so that's when some of our work over the years has been so much focused on the wellness of our people, ensuring that we have a healthy, vibrant organization that supports people through all the trials and tribulations of a difficult career, dealing with high level of trauma exposure over time, victimization and dealing with victims of crime, but also people who are up for the challenge of just quality public service delivery. So we're not alone. I think you can see the same pressures in healthcare, across the emergency services. You can see it in the educational and other social services. We're not alone, and we're always trying to find ways to break through to that next generation. And so in the past, I can confess that we had a flood of people coming to us. We could pick the best and the brightest, and now we're trying to create a multi-tiered strategy that gets down into other avenues of life. So we have people flowing to us for so many different career opportunities beyond the uniform, and for us to shape the next chapter of what policing looks like in our region.
I think it's bang on to say there isn't a business leader from any sector who doesn't face challenges in recruiting right now. I mean, it is particularly when it comes to having specific, expertise or I mean, certainly in those more skilled, those are very different. But it's right across the board of having the right people for your team. So you are right. You're not alone. I wanted to maybe skip to this question and say that talking really about the benefits of a career in law enforcement. You've talked about that, but specifically some of the things that you really have been focused on, particularly that I've noticed in the last year. Of course, I'm on the Police Services Board, but I noticed it more in the social media. Is the program specifically aimed at recruiting women into policing? The fact that when we go to the badging ceremonies and I notice that the stories are amazing of people, some are second career, some are younger, wide variety, but it does look and reflects the changing face of Waterloo region. When we talk about that collaboration of making sure that we're seeking out different parts of the community, connect the benefits of a career in law enforcement, which is needed. It is needed public service, with an individual, like what can they get if they're from that maybe a woman or a person of color. What's the advantage, or what's the thing that would draw them, that you hope that would draw them to policing now? Because it's the same challenge that we all face in every sector, is getting the right people that are going to increasingly come from those types of demographics.
So there's no question that when we think about the history of policing worldwide, certainly in Canada and Ontario, it has traditionally been a male-dominated profession. In time, over the last number of decades, we've evolved into, we're an essential human service now. And so when I started, the percentage of female officers was around 14%, nationally, provincially, and locally. And now we're hovering in those same realms, around 22, 23% across the country. We know that there's places in the world that have 30, 40, 50% women as sworn officers, and that's our aspiration, as we reflect the society that we serve. And all other forms of visible representation and ability and so on. So that's the mission. It takes time to break down, some of the, those barriers structurally that exist. But when I think about the career, it offers so much. And although I'm biased and I'm meant to be a champion for this, I've had a dozen careers within this one. I've served as a frontline, service delivery constable. I've been an investigator for a portion of my career. I've been in administration, I've been in management, leadership, research, doing public and media relations, leadership growth opportunities, strategy. And so it takes all kinds of skill sets. And ideally, every one of our teams reflects that total skill set diversity. And so when we talk to people and we ask them, what's going to get you out of bed in the morning? What do you want to do with your life? That's the conversation we're having. What type of meaning do you want to make in your everyday in serving people? And we all have different abilities and different capabilities, but people are coming to us because they want a life of meaning. They want a life of giving back, of contributing, of doing tough stuff, and being at the center of a hurricane sometimes, and being that point of calm where we can offer all the help that we can. And so that's the attraction point for people. It's still people who are driven to serve are still coming to us, and they end up having amazingly fulfilling careers. When I do exit interviews with people, we try to talk to everyone who might leave our organization after 30 plus years or at any given point. That's the common denominator, is a career of meaningful public service. And that's what I think we will continue to offer. And when I think back to the number of years that we've had, incredible impacts with the pandemic. All of us have gone through rapid social change, rapid economic, organizational change. But we've learned about the helpers. We've learned about the people who have showed up at the grocery stores, the people who have been keeping our hospitals going, who have been at the front lines for every kind of housing and social sector delivery. And so that's the value that keeps coming back, that keeps me inspired, and it's just a powerful vantage point to provide to people. And I don't see that changing. No matter what shape our society takes, we're going to need people to show up and to help. And I think it's an admirable one, but the work to get that message out and for people to see themselves reflected and that they see themselves able to do this work, that communication mission will never stop.
So we talked about, excuse me, some of those unique challenges of attracting and retaining the talent. And there are some unique aspects to policing, but one thing that I think is common among every employer is when you hire someone, it doesn't start there. You don't give them 10 days or 2 weeks or a month or 2 months of training and say, go get them, and that's it. The constant need for training. So I'm thinking about, the increasing cyber crime online. It's so fast changing. I think all of us as business leaders are challenged of saying, how do we protect our information, our data? There isn't a business virtually that doesn't operate that online is their business, whether they're a storefront or virtually data and information. So I'm thinking about maybe that specific one, ongoing training and making sure that they've got their leading edge, and the role that plays in saying, you can't be on the front line when you're learning about what someone's, what the next wave of crime is going to be. That's also a challenge that we all face, is making sure that people get training in the right way. How are you trying to address making sure you get people on the front line, you're still doing the thing, but they're getting the training they need? Because that is a huge issue for everyone, from manufacturing at the front, on the shop floor, right through to the challenges that business face right across the board. That's got to be a struggle, because to say it's fast-paced doesn't underservice the fast-paced. It is ever present.
Yeah, I think we're probably like a lot of organizations where we have professional, legislated sort of core training, like at every step and every phase. So that's our initial responsibility, but it's all those value-added pieces on us trying to find the balance on how we can get people the courses, the development opportunities that they need. Also trying to build an organization where people can self-select their own developmental paths is something that we have ongoing right now. The one thing that remains a work in progress, and I think some people in the room may have, as in healthcare, I can think of the micro-learning opportunities, or we're trying to find those platform opportunities, the small bites of essential information. So, we've always had that in-house capacity for training, education, and development that is essential for people to have the knowledge, skills, and abilities to do the things they need to do. I do think, though, that the future of policing will be continuing to find additional subject matter expertise that can supplement every team and every capacity that we have. So you could take a traditional investigative unit that might be looking at some form of online child exploitation, fraudulent activity, and how do we continue to build out civilian expertise that are, those subject matter experts can come in, can supplement a team. The sworn capacity, probably through legislation, we'll always have our officers, moving the work through the criminal justice system, but just finding additional capacities to make us better in every way. So that's, I think, the opportunities that in the next decade, it will be a combination of continuing to refine our total expertise, but I also think that private-public partnerships will define us moving forward. And I don't have a complete, understanding of what that looks like, but understanding that as the world just becomes more, more complex with all of the digital elements of what we're dealing with, we're going to need to find new ways of creating new forms of cybersecurity responses, new forms of just tackling all of the digital footprint that all of us are part of right now, and how that flows through our traditional investigations. Because for us to just throw human capital at all of these other additional things, it's not going to serve us to be successful moving forward. We're going to need to find avenues through automation, artificial intelligence, and then just amazing people to supplement the traditional police work that will always be there. So that's the balance, and we're always looking globally, nationally, and across the provinces, who's got the best avenue forward to bring that capacity to Waterloo Region.
Speaking of Waterloo Region, we are blessed here to have a culture of innovation. We have a tech community and many of our business sectors that are leaders across the country, around the world, in how to get to the next stage of growth and innovation in various sectors. Certainly in healthcare, we have a med tech sector that supports the constant innovation that's required in healthcare and in the hospital setting and in all kinds of things from diagnostics. The business community can help play a role. And you talked a little bit about that, specifically innovation that's happening, and there are great companies that may not be in the policing sector but are producing innovations. We've seen some of that from everything from body-worn cameras, etc. But there's digital cataloging and using evidence, etc. Maybe talk a little bit about the role that the business community can play. Like, what are some of the things that are not specific, but maybe through policing and saying, how do we get the private sector, the innovation that's coming, so that those innovations can be brought to within the policing community sooner versus being after the fact? Because you know for sure that the bad guys are getting those innovations as quickly as they can, just trying to stay ahead of the law.
So maybe I'll just give an overview of what we're rolling out right now and what sort of the next future steps are. So we're in year 2 now of a 3-year pilot of body-worn camera technology. We have in-car camera technology, so automated license plate readers on all of our vehicles. All of our officers have cell phones now, which have digital evidence capture capabilities, so we can go to a scene, we can capture video, audio, and digital feeds into our officers' capabilities. That helps to build their court cases and how that flows through the system. And then in future years, we continue, think about the amount of dash cams, door cams, CCTV cameras that are out there right now. So the great frontier, where we are right now, is privacy overall, is how do we combat some of these issues collectively. And I think your average citizen, your average business, your average organization has become well-versed and accustomed to, camera technology. To be controversial, we need to start finding models and methods to connect these dots. And I don't have the great burden of being worried about a surveillance society, but we're already there. The supercomputer that we all have in our pocket operates as a tracking mechanism, and it contains endless feeds of digital evidence that can assist in investigations. And so the police are well-versed in the judicial authorizations that are required. But I can tell you that when it comes to solving crime, we're often getting down to grassroots stuff, which is victim and witness statements. We need as much digital evidence to understand what has happened. So there's a lot of cameras out there, but it often takes us an ability to connect the dots. And then I would say that the next bridge to this is looking at facial recognition technology and how some of these automated capabilities fit together in a way that we're all comfortable with. Using these things in a public capacity to solve crime, to create an agreeable system of safety that will be determined by our community. And it won't be the police leading these conversations. These are multifaceted community conversations, but that's where I think the business community will have a say in terms of what they deploy, what they equip, what they will support, and then how we tie these things together to create a network of accessible security and safety options that will allow the police to require and access information when we need it with the right authorization. And that in the next decade is what you'll see play out, is what you will consent to allow us to have access to, and what you want your children and grandchildren to be immersed in as we build smart cities, smart societies, and the business community will have a lot to say about how this plays out.
Okay, one of the things that I think is unique to, not all services would have this, is that our police service, your police service members cover not only our rural communities and their big swath of regional, there's North Dumfries, Woolwich, Wolseley, and Wilmot, but then 3 very unique city cores, Cambridge, Kitchener, Waterloo. Talk about how that presents a channel for calls for service and the unique ways because I think there are some plans to say, and we've talked about this, and you've talked about it other times. I know you haven't been on business to business, but you were on the Firewall show talking about this, at the police board publicly, about that people expect a presence. Like the presence is one of those calming things and reassuring things. How do we have that presence in our urban communities and our rural communities? You've got some plans for that. I thought it would be important because there are businesses operating all over the region. It's not just in our cities, and I think that whole notion of where you are and how safe you feel is important right across the entire region.
You're really putting the pressure on me. We've got a couple celebrated rural mayors here.
Notice that. There'll be something in my Christmas cards coming from Sandy and
so, we all know the incredible makeup of this community. The urban-rural mix is something to be preserved and something to celebrate. The growth will take form. So we've certainly developed a rural policing strategy, which is just in its infancy, and it's a real commitment to ensure that the level of service that we have in our rural communities, our visibility, our ability to respond, our enforcement capability, and then our community connections are meaningful ones. They're lasting ones, and so that any member of our rural townships is not getting any secondary service. Our ability to do that is challenged, I would say, and so we are doing everything we can to build those connections and those commitments. And we're also looking at the efficiency of our response models. So I think it's important that people know that there's places where they can come and meet us to connect, to express their concerns if you live in a rural township. And so you have density growing in each one of the townships and smaller communities. We cover more square kilometers in this region. We have double the square kilometers than the city of Toronto does proper. It's an incredible time, distance, capacity in terms of when we get the call for service, our ability to get there is a major challenge. And so we can't just be driven by the call for service metrics. We have about 1,000 calls for service every day in this region. And if we just adhere to those density sort of clusters of where we're asked to be, that would keep us entrenched in sort of the urban corridors and as all the growing suburban areas. And so we have to find that balance. And so, it's my commitment to be working with every community leader who's asking for more visibility, more presence. And we let others determine, what what the feeling of safety is, but what we've just gone through in our strategic planning is people are asking for that visibility and presence to be enhanced. When we look at our road safety statistics every year, fatal collisions, serious incident collisions, a lot of them are happening across the rural landscape as well. And so working with all municipal regional partners on the Safe Roadways program, automated speed road enforcement is a key to our future as well. Because the role of your average police officer is becoming a lot more precious and a lot more specialized. And so we're also trying to find, are there capacities to allow us to supplement and augment any of our efforts as well. And when I think about models across Canada, with such an immense country, the OPP and the RCMP that handle all of those areas in between urban centers have the same challenges that we do, if not greater. And so we're blessed in this region with a lot of capacity, but finding the mix for all this is a work in progress, and it's a commitment moving forward we have to get right.
And I think some of the things like mobile units and having some presence that may not be permanent, like bricks and mortar. I mean, every business that faces that same challenge. Your customers could be everywhere. You're not necessarily going to have a storefront in every community, but finding ways where people feel connected to the service that they're required is good. And you're looking at those, and again, that's some more of the innovation that's coming within policing. Listen, youth and policing, it is a big issue. We see it with each passing day. Whether it's the challenges, well, maybe I'll let you talk about it. Whether it's within schools, whether it's in your youth and policing is a big priority for you. It should be for our community, and it is. Maybe talk about some of the things that we've done in the past and that we're trying now, but that is an important piece which sets us up for long-term success as a community as we grow, is we have to have those relationships with youth, with schools, as we grow from 650,000 people to 1 million.
So as I mentioned, for decades we've had, I think, incredible success in building those connections to a variety of communities, neighborhoods, organizations that allow us that important connection. There's no doubt we're still seeing the effect of the pandemic. There's been change in our school response program. So I could spend all day on some of those issues. But very specifically, we are committed as one of our top priorities to create a youth engagement strategy, to recognize the work that we're already doing, but also building those bridges to our future. So what we've recognized is the need to tackle issues of not only youth-related violence and intersections, as to the criminal justice system. It's also just focusing on the success of our youth and building those trusted, engagement, positive opportunities that allow us to serve and to support neighborhoods, communities for education, for role modeling, for positive intervention whenever is possible. And we don't turn down any opportunity to join any neighborhood, any organization, whenever possible, is to engage in those things. So it's one of the most challenging things that we're trying to find the capacity to do it, but failing to do so will continue to set us behind just those opportunities for us to have amazing impact. What we've recognized, though, is the school resource program, as successful as it was a model to many across the province. There's everything that happens during school hours and on school grounds, and then there's everything that happens beyond that. We can have incidents and things that require our response just down the street from a school, things that happen after hours, into the evenings, onto weekends, during holidays, and finding ways to have those positive connections with youth. Is our greatest opportunity, and really we've done amazing programming over the years, but even things like traditionally our Children's Safety Village is a model that served this community so well, but we need to dream it all up again. We need to find ways to be into communities, into neighborhoods where we're invited to be, where people want us to be, and then to have those positive engagement opportunities. We've just been part of a global initiative looking around the world, looking at those models where we can connect with youth bring them into our organization as volunteers, create those positive connections, and it's the same story around the world. Young people are intrigued by law enforcement, by policing around the world, but they want to have those positive engagement opportunities. And so we're trying to find the best model that might work for our region, but we know that it's the key to our future. It's the key to not only the replacement of our public safety sort of initiatives moving forward, but it's that building trust piece that that obligation will never end.
There's a couple of programs which I think we do on a regular basis, or the police service does on a regular basis. The Youth Academy, are you talking about bringing people in so that they actually can see firsthand and meet flesh and blood police officers? I thought that's an important way. It's not the only thing, but it's certainly one way to demonstrate in a more comprehensive way for young people the people behind the uniform and the opportunity for them to be one of the service.
We just it's a 3-month program. It's one of the many programs we have. It's called Cops and Youth, and it was a 3-month immersive program. We bring young people in from all walks of life, different corners of the region. They come in. It's self-driven. They create problems or issues they want to tackle, and over the course of those months, they work with our members. About 50 of our members, and they come up with presentations at the end. And that's one of the avenues that supports and informs the work that we do. It has existed for a long time. But very interestingly, some of the polling that was done through that network of youth going out and polling their own people showed a tremendous positive depictions and understanding of policing and police officers. And if you allow me to put a plug in, I mean, we've had some great polling done in this region. The Wellbeing Waterloo Region study had policing as one of the most trusted public institutions in this region. We were only outdone in some of the categories by shopkeepers and merchants. And for the business community here, we're coming for you. That's an area of focus that we want to improve. But there was a Leger poll done in the past month, a Statistics Canada poll done recently that held that policing is the most trusted public institution in Canada, more than some other social sectors, public institutions. And I do not take that for granted in the slightest. We know that public trust in anything is fragile. It takes time, it takes an everyday commitment to build that capacity, and we've seen how the bellwether of public opinion can be shaped over just a couple of years. But that's something that we're proud of, and we want to continue to build on that. And until everybody feels that they hold public trust in what we do and who we are, then our work will never be done.
I want to ask you a little bit about your personal story. I mean, you come from a family of policing. Not everyone follows in their father's footsteps. Some of us are not Presbyterian ministers, even though they were. But you were a police chief, and your father was in policing as you grew up. So I wanted to maybe ask about your story. You have an interesting story, your background in policing. What astounded me when I've known you for years, since you were I think I was on Waterloo City Council, and you were doing some uptown issues around uptown. Not only do you have a BA, but you have a master's, you have a PhD, and you did all of that, or a lot of that, while you were working in the service. Maybe talk about your family history, because some people will do a multitude or a variety of things in their career. Policing was what you wanted to do. Maybe talk about that family history and then how your education has shaped your kind of view of being a leader in policing.
I don't think I'm interesting at all, but I'll go with the question. So
I don't either, but apparently these people do.
So I grew up in Burlington. I came to this community. I was 19. I took to go to Laurier. Did my degree there, and then applied to the service. And it was the only service that I applied to. Something just clicked, and community felt right. This police service felt right. And I've often said it's the best life decision I've made, because everything for me has worked out well since then. So I've had a blessed career in terms of, I mentioned opportunities that I've had, but when I've had this reflective piece of looking back of how the heck did I get here, it's very obvious that I had a strong role model and a father who was 42 years in policing, from the RCMP to PO region to Halton region. And what an amazing resource and upbringing that was to see the evolution of his career. But my mother was a registered nurse as well. And when you think about what you're in your DNA and what's in the water, I think as much as I attribute to her way of being, in terms of, what I've learned and what my capacities are from her as well. So that's the truth of it is, when I think about role models, they're continue to be my best, supporters, but also sounding board, and I'm blessed to still have them and to call them dear. When it comes to the educational piece, I was not much good at else, like sports, coaching, woodworking, whatever other people do in their lives. I stuck with school because I found that it was intrinsically inspiring to just continue to learn. And so whatever accomplishments that has brought me, it's been a very personal one. It's just wanting to understand the world better. This region has incredible post-secondary opportunities, and so what I've seen is the continued availability of career professional growth opportunities, continue to grow in this region. But what's happened is it's almost been like a reflection of the design of the work that we do. It has to be data informed, evidence informed, and supported in everything we do. So that's the lens that I have on, like, if we're going to do something, it's a decision based upon every available of policing information that we have, based on evidence and data. And we want to continue to grow our capacity and our relationships with the post-secondary institutions in this region, to celebrate, to improve, and to recognize the work that we're doing, but also the work that we need to do. So we've got some exciting things in the hopper. We've always had about 25 academic partnerships that have flowed through us. We're data rich and interaction rich, and people find policing interesting. They want to know more about the work that we do. We want to amplify that. We want to take that to some community collaboratives and hold our problems up and have them research oriented, as to say, okay, how do we fix this? And who do we need to do it? And then how do we prove of the things that are and are not working? And so my personal journey is kind of reflected in where the organization and policing is going. And I often say that I think I have the easiest job in the service because I get to support and champion amazing people. 1,200 dedicated professionals, who show up to work every day trying to make a difference. And that's my incredible story to be here, and whatever's brought me here, I'm going to run with it, and I don't know how long it's going to last, but I'm going to hold on tight.
Okay, I got the 3-minute warning, which means we have 5 minutes to go. So, so 3 quick questions. Well, not quick questions. They'll be quick questions, quick answers. Your predecessor retired and went on and is now Deputy Commissioner at the RCMP. Bill Blair was the Toronto Police Service and is now a cabinet minister federally. Mark Saunders has run for office. And so not really about that, but what you learn in your role as policing, and I guess it's really less about what you'll do after, because we hope you'll be here until you retire at 45 after 30 years here. I still don't know how old you are, but you look a lot younger than I am. So, but what will you take away from your time as in policing? Because the variety of things that you face each and every day is incredible. And how will you take those things to serve you in other parts of your life, and what's next in your community service around Waterloo region?
So by design, we're inherently apolitical. We serve every government of the day, even though we're swimming in politics all the time. We're swimming in legislative change and power and control and all the things that make our society work. And so I can see how that life of political representation might be attractive for the next chapter for people. I don't know what mine might be. I think it's what got me going early on is wanting to serve, and I can see how others find that in political life beyond policing. I am intrigued though by the possibilities of the public-private sector partnerships that I've mentioned, and I see some colleagues, trying to bridge those gaps as well, because it takes, if you take any of the problems that we face, it takes everybody to contribute, whether it's the innovative technology piece, whether it's something different. And so my life beyond, I'm not sure, but I love that we get to learn from each other about what might fit.
Okay, if you were meeting with the Premier today, because some of the things we've talked about they're not just policing, they're community issues. If you had 5 minutes with him, what would be the one or two things you would ask him or say that are challenges for police and community, and what would you ask him to do?
So I'm blessed to be at the table with many chiefs through the Ontario Association of Chiefs of Police, where we have that access to the Solicitor General, Attorney General, Premier, and so on to help shape legislation. Top of mind for me is mental health and addictions and all those things, connected to housing stability that everybody cares about and everybody's grappling with. And anything to alleviate poverty. We know that so much of our work is connected to the community, health and well-being at large, and so that's where police will always have a role for the enforcement, the responsiveness, the community building component. But building healthy, safe, sustainable societies requires those additional investments, and so that would be the conversation: is to say, anything to amplify the partnership work that we do to build those stronger community connections. That's where I hope the conversation would be, and that's where it needs to be.
Good. Okay, last question. Just from this conversation, what would be the one takeaway or thing you'd want people to remember from the conversation today as we leave our time together?
I think chiefs of police are utterly replaceable. I'm proud to do the work that I do, and I'm proud to be in this role. But I do it for and with the people that I serve with and represent. And I have my ups and downs, like all of us, but I continue to be inspired by the work of our members. The people that show up every day taking on the challenges on our collective behalf are to be celebrated and respected and admired, much like many of the other industries and sectors in this room and across our region. And so this is a privileged, incredible opportunity that I'm allowed to be a champion for many, and that's where I'd like to start and end my career in policing is working hard on behalf of others and the citizens of this incredible region. There's a phrase that I've adopted is nobody cares, work harder. I stole it from a t-shirt. Actions matter, and so that has to be delivering on the promises and the expectations that this community expects and deserves, and that work will never stop.
Listen, thank you so much for taking time today, and my closing thoughts would be, this time in our history as a region, as a country, and globally, I think there's reason to be optimistic, but there's lots of challenges, and the time demands leaders and leadership. So we're blessed to have you in our community and leading the police service. So thank you so much for spending some of your time today with us. As we close out today's event, I would like to take another opportunity to just thank our incredible sponsors. Without our partners and sponsors, the Chamber wouldn't be able to do the things we do. So thank you once again to Conestoga College, Gowling WLG, Grand River Hospital Foundation, the Grand Valley Construction Association, North Guide, the City of Kitchener, the City of Waterloo, and the Region of Waterloo. And finally, thank you for participating, being with us today or joining us online, and for your continued support of the Chamber's events and programs. If you're looking for more networking opportunities, the Chamber has a full calendar of upcoming events, and you can find that on our website at greaterkwchamber.com. Thanks once again for attending today's event. We hope to see you again soon. Have a good afternoon.